But this is the time when we set the focus for the next 4 days. How do you decide where to take your business next? The most obvious place to start is with lice infestation. I found this horrible photo, up close photo of a louse. And then I had to ask my wife to send me a photo from February last year of when our kids got lice and then they had to go get treated. It was like insanely expensive to get treated. I did not get lice. That's a whole separate conversation. I'm still not sure my wife has forgiven me, but I wrote about getting lice in my weekly freelance cake newsletter. And one of my subscribers who I'd never communicated with before told me that she's the CEO of a lice treatment startup. This started a whole conversation. And eventually I said, well, do you want help with strategy? I do growth strategy with solo founders like you. And she was like, yes, I would love that. So we planned a 1 day growth sprint in Nashville. That's where her sister lives. That's where I grew up. So we met in Nashville. We did a whole lot of whiteboarding. And it's kind of hard to see in the photo, but one of the priorities that we identified together was pursue Walgreens hard. So this is March 2025, and we're in person. And I had asked her, what's the lead domino? Like, what out of all of these notes, out of all these things that you could do, what's the thing that if you were to do it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? So she has this over the counter product. Obviously, she wants it to be in retailers, grocery stores, drugstores, all over the place. But Walgreens in the US is like the premium retailer for a first aid product. So she told me that if she got into Walgreens, then it would be that much easier to get into CVS and the other retailers that are at the next tier down. So fast forward a year, and this product that was just a twinkle in her eye when we got started. We helped pick the name of the company, which is Cartwheel. I helped her name the product, Knit Happens. I helped her hire a designer. We worked through the identity, the brand, the packaging, all of it. And within 1 year, Joanna got her lice treatment product, which is all natural and certainly doesn't cost over $1,000 the way the treatment my wife and kids had to get. Certainly doesn't cost that. Costs what, $34.99. Joanna got her product into 6,000 Walgreens stores across the nation. Incredible. The question is, would Joanna have achieved that extraordinary outcome if instead of going after just Walgreens, she had said, you know what? I'm going to go after Walgreens and Walmart and CVS and all the Kroger grocery stores. I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to go direct to consumer. I'm going to try to sell wholesale to school systems. No, she didn't do that. She didn't do that. She picked the lead domino. And that principle of growth by subtraction is something that I arrived at after seeing so many people talk about how addition hurt and subtraction helped. I love this tweet from Caitlin where she talked about this inflection point in her business. And the inflection point came when she started removing options. She started pruning. She started subtracting. We grow faster by subtraction. So, over the next 4 days, as you gather ideas, you pick up insights, you may be tempted to just pile on more. You may be you may find addition alluring, and I would tell you subtraction will get you where you want to go faster. So here is the first question out of 3 that I would encourage you to answer, and I'm gonna give you we're doing well on time, so I'm actually gonna give you a couple of minutes right now to just ponder this. I'm afraid that if I just said, "Hey, go ponder this," you might not. You might just run off to the next sessions or go eat lunch or go get another tea with a scone and clotted cream. And that was not my attempt at a British accent, by the way. Um, Ask these questions. What is the lead domino for me right now? And what should I ignore? What should I subtract? So I'll set a timer. Just take 2 minutes and ask yourself if you already know what the lead domino is. Because Joanna, as soon as I asked, I was like, what's the one thing? She was like, getting into Walgreens. I was like, oh, going after Walgreens hard. So 2 minutes. I'm going to stare at the screen with a fake smile on my face like this. All right, take 2 minutes. What is the one thing that if I were to do it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? It takes courage to cut. About 30 more seconds. Does anything jump out at you? Anything that you know you need to cut? Anything you have a hunch that if you had the courage to go after it would work? All right, let's move on. And just so you know, the rest of this session consists of 2 more stories and 2 more questions. It's story time with Austin this morning. Okay. Isaac is one of my one-on-one coaching clients. And when we started working together, he was averaging $8,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue. I spoke to him last month in April, and he told me actually this is at the very end of April. And he told me I'm now at $32,000 monthly recurring revenue, and I did $55,000 total in April. He had a big project on top of his retainers. That sounds insane. I think it sounded insane to him when he actually looked at the numbers and said it out loud. And I tell you that for two reasons. One, there's a lot of pessimism in the freelance and consulting spaces right now. And understandably, I think it's been harder of late, and AI has shaken up a lot. But meanwhile, there are people who are building incredible businesses. They're figuring out how to leverage AI. And so I wanted to share a little bit of Isaac's story because I want to help you ask the next question. Before we get there, I want to explain why Isaac has been able to accomplish what he has accomplished. He has a complete business model. So, a lot of the time when we're not making predictable income, when we're working too much, when we are attracting the wrong clients and we're doing work that we don't love, we actually have a business model that almost ensures all those things. You need a complete business model that gets you the lifestyle that you want, that gets you the income that you want. And there are very specific pieces of a business model that you have to put into place. For example, a lot of it comes down to your target audience. Whom do you serve? Isaac got very specific with his target audience, and now is not the time to talk about specialization or niching down. That's what Isaac chose to do. So he focused on his target audience. He built up strong positioning with and for that target audience. He became a recognized authority to that audience. He doesn't just sell services to that audience, he has specific offers, including an initial strategy offer, a signature offer, and then a subscription or retainer offer. So he has very specific, juicy offers that he's able to sell to a specific target audience. And he has authority in that niche. He has the right prices. So if he charges $4,000 a month for a retainer and he stacks up 8 of those retainers, he's now at $32,000 a month. But he had to work on those prices a little bit. He wasn't always charging $4,000 a month. He was charging less in the past. Funny enough, there are some new clients he's gotten that were happy to pay a lot more for about the same amount of work that was repackaged, happy to pay more. And so Isaac is able to make the income he wants to make now working about 20 hours a week. He takes Fridays off. No, sorry, Mondays. Mondays he takes totally off. He's been able to get the lifestyle he wanted in part because he charged the right prices. And once he was charging the right prices to enough clients, he was working less. What also helped him work less? The right systems. His are AI enabled, and the right support. He has a designer, he has a web developer who wires stuff up, specifically in Clavio, helps out with Shopify. Now, it's worth mentioning that Isaac had to believe this is possible. Belief is kind of the cherry on top, or maybe it's really the foundation. Maybe I should turn this upside down, right? The whole business model balances on your belief. You have to believe something is possible. If you believe that 2026 is your breakthrough year, and if you believe that the best is yet to come for you and for your business, You will make decisions and you will take actions that align with that belief. Or if you believe that the best years of your business are behind you, then you will make decisions and take actions that align with that belief. Our beliefs determine our decisions and our actions. Our beliefs determine our thoughts and our feelings. And half the time, we are only half conscious of what we are believing. So, Corey Wilkes, he's going to get into limiting beliefs and fears a little bit later. I'm not going to spend much more time on mindset, but it's really hard to build a complete business model and to execute on it and to stack up those clients, those right fit dream clients one by one, if your beliefs are sabotaging you every step of the way. Final piece, and this is a big emphasis for the summit this year: lead gen. How do you get clients? What is working in 2026? Do you have a steady stream of leads in your pipeline? The rest of your business model can be beautiful. You can have all the right beliefs in your noggin, rattling around like gourd seeds, right? But if you're not out there getting leads, you don't have a lead gen plan that you're executing on a weekly basis, then your business model is just this beautiful artifact sitting on a shelf in your office. Reliable revenue requires a complete business model. So I'm going to go back. I hope that you'll take a screenshot of this slide because I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to ask yourself this question: which key part of my model is missing? You need a complete model. I just started the timer. I'll give you a couple minutes. You need a complete model. If your business is misfiring, it's not making you and your family enough money, you're working with clients you find deeply frustrating, you're not making the impact you want, you're not satisfied, you're working too much, you're fearful of AI, you've been in a big funk recently, your business may be missing more than one key part. That's okay. What has happened with me is sometimes I feel like I get all the pieces in place and then my own desires and preferences change. My heart moves on me. I'm like, what? I just got everything dialed in. And now I don't want to do that kind of work anymore. What's wrong with me? I hate being a multi potentialite, multi passionate, multifaceted platypus. Why can't I just decide already? Oh. It's okay. We are engaged in this ongoing process of reinvention. So, what is your next area of focus? Which key part of your model is missing? What is the direction you need to take your business next? Do you have the business model that can get you there? Set your focus for the summit. All right. One more story, one more question, and then we will wrap up here. So earlier you saw my youngest, Ellis, with that funny lice cap on. This photo of him with a lightsaber I found on my phone. I don't know about you and your kids, but my kids love to steal my phone, and then I just find like 50 just exceedingly bad photos on it that I have to delete. So I found this one recently. Um, I still get a little bit choked up sometimes when I see a picture of Ellis because when he was still in utero, a high risk consultant told us that he had an 85 to 90% chance of dying before he ever left the womb. And everything turned out okay. He does have something called hypotonia, hypotonia. Basically, it means low muscle tone. And as he's developed, it's been harder for him to do certain things physically. And so we were at the park one day that is closest to our house, and he watched his older brother, 2 years older, just fly across the monkey bars. And he climbed up and he was like clutching the two bars on either side, and he was trying to talk himself into attempting this. And again, this is the boy that is a miracle. It's like, I don't care what he does with his life. It's just a joy to have him at all. And he said, I'm not sure I can make it all the way across. And I said, well, you won't know until you try. Or maybe it was unless. You won't know unless you try. And I'll be right here. I don't think I could make it all the way. And I know that I've felt that way in my business. Still scared on a regular basis, scared trying to pull off the summit. What if it all just crashes to the ground before it even got off the ground, right? Um, Ellis made it all the way across, though. You should have seen the look on his face. He was incandescent. I think we need people in our lives who love us enough to say, you won't know unless you try, and I'll be right here the whole time. Y'all, we're always going to have to do it scared. One of the main reasons I get stuck in my business is because I'm afraid. What's going to happen with AI? I don't know. I'm afraid. What's going to happen if all of the old type of work I was doing dries up before I get enough momentum with the new type of work I want to do? I don't know. I'm afraid. Uncertainty. What if all these bad things happen? What does the future hold? What about the political situation? What about these violent conflicts? What about recession? What about rising prices? What about rising gas prices? What about rising food prices? I can't tell you what is going to happen with any of that. We're all hanging from our own set of monkey bars. And you have to try, even when you're scared. So, the way that I flip this for myself, because fear clouds my judgment. I tend to be sensitive. I get discouraged pretty easily. I have become more resilient over the years, in part because I have some good scaffolding in place and these questions help. But this is a third question that you can ask as you try to decide what your focus should be during the summit, as you try to decide where to take your business next. Well, what would I do if I weren't scared? For me, it's, well, I would write my next book, but I need to have a certain amount of income coming in from the community, coming in from coaching, and coming in from consulting if I'm going to have enough time to work on my book. Oh, I need a business with products, processes, and prices that will get me the free time that I can spend on my passion projects. Oh, what would you do if you weren't scared? 2 more minutes. We're still going to finish ahead of time. Be honest with yourself. Would you write more fiction? Would you reach out to a brand you really admire and hold up your hand and say, I'd love to work with you? Talked with a woman yesterday who has this side hustle and it has been making more money than she makes from her full-time job consistently, but she still hasn't quit. They can even get health care through or health coverage through her husband's job. Why hasn't she quit? Well, she's scared. What does she really want to do? She wants to quit. And when we're scared, we come up with all these rationalizations. Here's why I can't. Some of those rationalizations we put on other people. Oh, what would my husband think? What would my wife think? I don't want to let these people down. A big one for me is I don't want my kids to miss out on opportunities because their dad didn't have what it takes to be self employed. That is a script in my head that I still sometimes have to ignore. And one way I ignore it is by asking this question. Okay, what would I do if I weren't scared? So, those three questions, I guess it's technically four if you're going to be nitpicky over there. And yes, that was a lice joke. Full circle, bringing it full circle with lice jokes, people. Take a screenshot of this. Use your answers to these questions to help you decide where to take your business next and also what specifically to focus on during the 4 days of the summit. I just don't think the old way is going to work anymore. In the age of AI, I think the folks who are going to win with self employment, freelancing, solopreneurship are going to move away from overcommitment. They're going to embrace growth by subtraction, and they're going to translate that principle into a short, focused, actionable plan. I don't think we can afford procrastination. I think we have to schedule our business development time. Overthinking is always a possibility. So I think we have to get ruthless with our focus and choose three priorities or less. And if Joanna is any indication, just choose one. Complexity gets in the way of growth. Have to get clarity on what you want next, not what you want forever, just next. Confusion causes us to waste time. Okay. cut more, prune more, do the strategic subtraction. Vagueness, writing down projects on your plan, not tasks. What can you finish in 1 hour or less? That is something that you can actually schedule. So answer those 3 questions, grab them by the tail. If you haven't already, go ahead and make a copy of the 1 page growth roadmap template. And I hope that you will join me on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern to finish filling it in. And that's the old slide that I should have just deleted. All right. That is it. Um, can go back to the 3 questions, please. And then Cindy for the win. Awesome. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I wish I could see your beautiful faces. That is one weakness of Circle's live functionality, but I'll see you in the community and appreciate you participating in the summit. And I truly hope that this is a crux, like a turning point in your business. See you soon.